They invited all the royals to Lilibet's christening, but they all declined to come, as if they're all going to get on a plane and fly to California to embrace the people who've been trashing them for the last 3 years. But it looks like from the jungle drums, they have been invited.
It began with a plain envelope, the kind nobody fears because it looks too ordinary to change anything. But inside that envelope was a certified copy of a British birth record, ordered online for a small fee, printed by a registry office that processes thousands of forms without drama. At first, everything looked normal. The name matched. The birth date matched. Archie Harrison, Mountbatten-Windsor, fifth in line to the British throne, appeared exactly where the world expected him to appear. Then the form went into a drawer. Weeks passed. Silence protected it. But when it came out again, one detail turned the whole Sussex birth story into a royal mystery. There were 2 dates, printed close together, and the second date came first. For 6 years, almost nobody looked at those dates side by side. Archie was publicly announced as born on the 6th of May 2019, a fact repeated from Windsor, carried across Britain's newspapers, and accepted until it became untouchable background noise. But on the General Register Office copy, the registration field showed the 1st of May 2019, 5 days earlier. Birth records can be registered after a child is born. Families do it days or weeks later. But they are not supposed to run backwards. That tiny gap, only 5 days on paper, became a palace earthquake. Because suddenly the question was not whether the document existed. The question was why a government-issued record appeared to place registration before birth. And that is where the official system made the mystery worse. There is no British mechanism for registering a child before that child arrives. Not for a scheduled C-section. Not for a planned induction.
Just how the 7th in line to the British throne came into this world. In his newly obtained birth certificate, it shows Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor arrived May 6th, not at their new home Frogmore Cottage like many had expected, but rather at a London hospital.
Not for a wealthy family. Not for a royal household. The register records what has happened, not what might happen. So once that document circulated, the public reaction was immediate and brutal. Either the birth date was wrong, the registration date was wrong, or something stranger sat underneath both. Screenshots spread first, then cropped images, then commentary about the commentary. Before long, most people repeating the claim had never seen the full form at all. What survived was one devastating sentence. The paperwork says Archie was registered before he was born. But the story did not stop with the birth record, because the next clue came from Prince Harry himself. Not from a leak, not from a palace insider, not from Piers Morgan. From Spare, his own memoir, published under his own name and sold to millions. Harry described leaving Frogmore Cottage in the early hours, wearing a baseball cap pulled low, trying to reach the hospital unseen. He described the drive into London, the long labor, and one detail that instantly alarmed nurses, mothers, midwives, and anyone who understood hospital birth. Meghan, according to Harry's own account, received 2 epidurals. Not 1, 2, and that single number collided violently with the timeline he also gave. Because an epidural does not vanish the moment a baby arrives. Sensation returns slowly. Leg strength returns later. A catheter must be removed. Bleeding must be watched carefully because postpartum hemorrhage can turn deadly fast. Observations are repeated. No responsible hospital casually sends a mother home before she can stand safely, before the numbers are stable, before the basic checks are complete. Yet Harry's memoir seemed to place the family back at Frogmore roughly 2 hours after Archie's birth. Frogmore is not beside a London hospital. The Windsor to central London drive alone can take around 70 minutes each way. 2 journeys already swallow more than 2 hours before recovery, checks, paperwork, discharge, walking, or even getting to the car are counted. The arithmetic did not behave. That was when many people stopped treating the story as online noise. The birth certificate looked strange, but the memoir felt self-inflicted. Harry had handed the public a timeline that appeared to challenge itself. Comment sections filled with women comparing their own experiences. 1 epidural and hours before walking, less complicated births and overnight stays. Hospital rules that did not bend because someone had a title. Yet even this clue had a shadow side. Spare is a memoir, not sworn testimony. Harry was writing years later about an emotional night most new parents would remember through exhaustion and panic. Maybe 2 hours was an impression, not a log departure. Maybe memory compressed the night. Or maybe the timeline was hiding something larger. Either way, the question stayed open. Then came the photographs, and this time the public was no longer reading forms. They were reading faces, bodies, timestamps, and silence. The christening photograph showed Archie in a long white gown, held beside Meghan inside Windsor Castle, surrounded by royal family. It looked traditional, controlled, harmless. Then someone inspected the file metadata. The timestamp people found reportedly read the 8th of May, 2019. The christening was in July. Normally, metadata can be overwritten by editing software, saving, exporting, or press handling. But this date landed 2 days after Archie's announced birth, directly beside a public already counting days. Viewers looked at the baby, looked at the timestamp, and whispered the same thing. That child did not look 2 days old. The polo match in Wokingham pushed suspicion into another lane entirely. Meghan appeared holding Archie across a long summer afternoon, and viewers fixated not on one frame, but on the duration. 3 hours in the heat, they said, and the baby barely stirred. No obvious crying. No feeding moment that settled the crowd. No sudden newborn startle caught clearly enough to silence the speculation. Then came the darkest comparison. Reborn dolls. The hyper-realistic silicone infants waited to feel real. Once that idea entered the public imagination, every still frame became dangerous. Meghan's white outfit added another layer. Women watching after childbirth knew bleeding can be heavy for days, and white was the color many said they would never choose. But this is where the evidence changed shape. The birth record, the memoir, and the legal certificate were things people could hold, quote, and question. The christening image and polo footage were different. A timestamp could be a save date. A quiet baby could simply be asleep. A white outfit proved nothing except a fashion choice. And yet those visual clues spread fastest. Because photographs do what paperwork cannot, they make suspicion feel instant. The story was no longer only about what a document said. It became about what millions believed they were seeing. And that shift gave the theory power the palace could not easily control. The unanswered question now was not only what happened, but why silence followed every strange detail. Nothing stayed ordinary after the questions moved away from photographs and back toward official paperwork. The next development centered on a legal document that quietly changed after Archie's birth. And that single amendment created another mystery nobody has fully explained. When the birth certificate was first registered in 2019, the mother's details reportedly appeared as Rachel Meghan Markle, exactly as British birth records normally identify a parent. Then, months later, that wording disappeared. The document instead identified the mother as Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, with her occupation listed as Princess of the United Kingdom, matching the format used on previous royal birth records. A personal name had effectively been replaced by a royal title. And suddenly, another unanswered question entered the story. Who requested that amendment? And why did nobody publicly claim responsibility? Two completely different explanations immediately collided. One version suggested the palace requested the amendment because a duchess should appear by title rather than personal name. Another claimed the request came from Meghan's own side, without palace involvement. Both stories circulated at the same time, yet both could not be true together. Years passed without an official identifying who initiated the change. No named official appeared. No correspondence surfaced. No documented explanation ended the speculation. That silence became fuel. Critics argued the removal meant something had needed correcting, while others pointed out that Princess Charlotte's and Prince Louis's birth certificates already used royal titles instead of given names, making Archie's amended record consistent with earlier royal registrations rather than different from them. The destination seemed understandable, but the route remained completely unexplained. Before anyone could settle that contradiction, another unusual detail emerged from the registration process itself. On the 17th of May 2019, a deputy registrar reportedly traveled from Westminster to Frogmore Cottage instead of requiring the parents to attend a register office. Home visits existed, particularly where extraordinary royal security surrounded a household. Yet this still departed from the normal process experienced by almost every British family. Questions intensified because the registrar reportedly received the necessary information through a member of Prince Harry's staff rather than directly from him. Then came another point repeatedly discussed in the document. The registrar was reportedly not shown the Red Book, the personal child health record usually issued by hospitals before parents leave with a newborn. Instead, according to the source, a handwritten statement from one of Harry's protection officers confirmed Harry's presence at the birth. The note reportedly included legal protection for the officer regarding the contents of his statement. That combination of a home visit, intermediary, missing Red Book, and handwritten declaration became another layer in an already expanding puzzle. The next twist involved a familiar television personality whose name became permanently attached to this controversy, despite the source drawing a very different conclusion. Piers Morgan spent years publicly criticizing Prince Harry and Meghan Markle following their Oprah Winfrey interview, particularly after they declined to identify the unnamed royal family member who had allegedly raised concerns about their unborn son's skin color. Morgan argued repeatedly that leaving the accusation anonymous unfairly cast suspicion across the entire royal family. His criticism ultimately contributed to his departure from morning television, making him one of the Sussexes' most visible media opponents. But according to the document, his long-running campaign focused on royal titles, institutional criticism, and constitutional rules governing princely status rather than questioning Archie's birth itself. The source specifically states that Morgan never claimed Archie was not born, never endorsed surrogacy allegations, never accused Meghan of falsifying a pregnancy, and never presented the birth certificate as evidence of fraud. Instead, the document argues that online creators frequently edited Morgan's unrelated criticism into videos about theories he never actually supported, allowing viewers to associate his reputation with claims he had not made. Finally, the story arrived at perhaps its most powerful element, not a document, not a photograph, not metadata, but silence itself. For years, countless videos and discussions questioned Archie and Lilibet's births without receiving a direct public denial specifically addressing those theories. The document acknowledges why many observers found that silence suspicious, while also presenting an alternative explanation. Legal action could have prolonged publicity for years, repeated the allegations inside court filings, and amplified fringe claims into mainstream headlines. Remaining silent, according to the source, may have been a strategic communications decision rather than an admission of anything. In the end, the document concludes that the surviving questions concern procedural gaps rather than proven deception. Who requested the amendment to the birth certificate? Why the original paperwork changed format? Why the Red Book was reportedly absent during registration? And why those administrative questions were never publicly clarified. Those unanswered gaps, rather than verified evidence of wrongdoing, are presented as the reason the controversy continues to grow years later, leaving the palace, the Sussexes, and the public trapped inside a debate that still refuses to end.